Olá pessoal, como eu prometi para vocês, eu tô aqui com a Patrícia Crane no treinamento aqui em Birmingham, na Inglaterra. Tô participando aqui com ela para ser treinada, para ser a formadora do Método Louise Hay no Brasil. Tá sendo uma experiência incrível e eu aproveitei que ela tá aqui comigo para fazer algumas perguntas para ela nesse vídeo que vocês mandaram. Algumas perguntas são de facilitadores do Método Louise Hay, outras perguntas são do público em geral. Infelizmente, a gente não vai conseguir fazer todas as perguntas, mas eu consegui pegar algumas das perguntas que eu achei que podiam ser mais interessantes para todo mundo, para a gente poder aproveitar aqui o tempo com a Patrícia. Hi, Patricia. Thank you very much for your time and your availability to be here with us.
Thank you. I am delighted to be speaking to the Heal Your Life teachers in Brazil and also those of you interested in Louise's work. I'm also delighted to have Renata here in England with me to train as teacher trainer for Brazil. I'm also happy to answer your questions.
You got a lot of questions. And I just pick like what I think the most like important ones or most like interesting ones.
Okay.
Because we don't have time to answer everyone, unfortunately. Okay, so the first one is, was Louise Hay perfect? So was she creating all the time a perfect life?
Louise Hay did her inner work and set her intentions, and she was an amazing human being. But she was also a human being. So she was perfectly imperfect the way all of us are. But I think her inner work and her intention to spread this philosophy as far as possible, that's what really motivated her. And so, yes, she had a lovely life. She lived in a beautiful place. You know, her health was good, absolutely, up until the very end. And so she really created her own life in the way that she wanted to. But everybody has to know that you don't have to be perfect to take the message out there. You have to just have it in your heart and want to help others.
This is really important for us to always remember.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
Great. And how did you meet Louise, and how did Louise Hay method change your life?
Okay. I met Louise at a breakfast meeting many years ago, talked to her, got on her mailing list, and then went to the first intensive 1 week intensive she did. And it's a long story leading to the training, so I'll just tell you how she changed my life.
Okay, great.
Okay, I was already using affirmations very effectively. I'd been using those for a number of years, but when I read Louise's book, I thought it was the best book I had read that combined the mind, body, emotions, and spirit. So I was very impressed with it. And what really helped me were three main things, really. The inner child work, really learning to love myself and accept myself, because I used to be a perfectionist, and also
Good to know.
and also the forgiveness work, and really how to get very deep with forgiveness.
Wow, great. Yeah. And have you ever seen Louise Hay showing her vulnerability to the public?
Rarely. However, there was one time when she was speaking at an I Can Do It conference with Cheryl Richardson, and she came out on stage with Cheryl, sat down, and very quickly she said, I just want to let everybody know that I'm a little shaky this morning. I've been taking a homeopathic remedy, and I'm just not feeling myself. And to me, that was amazing that she shared this with a group of 1,000 people.
Wow.
Yes.
This is really showing the vulnerability.
It really. And Cheryl Richardson did such a beautiful job. She had the whole audience send love and healing to Louise. She did some tapping with the entire audience to send to Louise. And within about 10 minutes after this had happened, Louise said, I feel much better. And she just thanked everybody and said how grateful she was to the audience.
This is an awesome example.
Yeah.
Yes, great. Thank you. Okay, and when exactly did she create the 2-day workshop?
The 2-day workshop she created in the early 1980s.
Wow.
And I know that sounds old to some of you. Some of you weren't even born who are watching this. I know that. However, because we are emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical beings, we will always need the work. And she created it when she was working with the folks with HIV and AIDS primarily, and cancer. So very intense situations that were going on. But Louise had been using some of these exercises for a while, and then she put them into a process that is absolutely brilliant, because it just works when you go from one exercise to another. And then, after she'd been leading the 2-day workshop, people started asking her, could you write a book? You need to write it down. And that's when she wrote You Can Heal Your Life.
So the 2-day workshops came first.
Came first.
This is so interesting for us to know. I personally didn't have it so clear, so it's nice to know. Yeah. And all of this happened after the cancer, right?
Yes, after the cancer.
The cancer.
Yeah, after.
Okay, perfect.
And Louise, I will tell everybody that when Louise went for her healing, she took 6 months off of work, which not everybody is able to do.
Yeah.
But not only did she do affirmations and visualizations, but she did every kind of release work she could find, and she did a lot of anger releasing.
Yeah.
A lot.
It is important for everyone to know that anger releasing really makes the difference.
It really makes the difference.
Yes.
It really does.
Okay.
And then moving into the forgiveness.
Yeah, great. Okay. So people, most of the people, 100% of the people who already came to our 2-day workshops, they know about your book, Ordering from the Cosmic Kitchen. Yeah. So I got one very interesting question from someone who already participated in one of my workshops. And she is asking, why do sometimes the Cosmic Chef doesn't deliver my order?
And that is a great question. The answer is actually in the book, too. But it's a great question. And there are several reasons. First of all, sometimes we're saying the affirmations and not really believing them. Sometimes we have to be patient with the timing. And sometimes there's a deeper core of our being that really doesn't want that particular affirmation, wants something different. Sometimes we're doing affirmations out of our ego self instead of getting that connection with spirit and our divine wisdom and coming out of that and the purpose for our lives. So there are a number of reasons, and you can meditate on why isn't it happening. And I told Renata's group a little story about how selling our ranch in California took a lot longer than we had expected. And then we realized that in the affirmations we had, we said we wanted to sell to someone who loved the ranch as much as we did. And it took a while for that person to show up. So we had to be patient.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, great example. And great to have an example from your experience.
Yes,
yes.
thank you.
Yeah, perfect. So there is another participant from a workshop. She's asking you a suggestion of an affirmation for those who are having like a difficult time trying to be willing to forgive themselves.
That's a great question
Yeah.
too. So an affirmation would be, I'm willing to be willing to be willing to be willing to forgive myself. But also do some journaling on that. What's making it so difficult for you to forgive yourself? Why are you holding on to the guilt? And one of the things A Course in Miracles says, and Louise and myself have been, real students of A Course in Miracles, it says guilt holds the behavior. So guilt holds the lack of forgiveness as well. So do some journaling on what is it that actually makes you so hard on yourself that you're not willing to forgive. And then just keep saying, I'm willing to forgive. I'm willing to love myself. I'm willing to love myself more and enough so I can forgive and approve of myself.
Yeah, great. Great, thank you very much. And the last one. This comes from a great psychologist, and she wanted to learn from your experience. How would you deal with someone who is being resistant in the process, but also is like having a hard, difficult to assume that this person is being resistant. So the person is just like not open to the process. So how would you deal with a client like this?
Well, first of all, I would need a lot more information to evaluate and deal with the client. But there's several different things. One is that sometimes it's appropriate to just say, I'm feeling like I'm not actually the person who's best for you right now. And I want to make sure you get the best help and offer the person a referral. Other times, it's just to let go of any judgment about the resistance. Because if you're judging or you're getting frustrated with the person for their resistance, you're part of the resistance. And so that's very important for us as workshop leaders as well. We don't push people to change. we have to allow them their own process and respect that process. But I'd say, you'd really have to evaluate the situation to decide, what is really the best. Just being frustrated with the client is not a reason to say you've got to go someplace else. It's really then also examining yourself and where am I resisting? Reflecting it back.
Perfect. Yeah.
Louise always says many, many, many times, the only person we ever need to work on is
It's
ourselves.
Yes, always.
So-
Exactly.
So when we do that for ourselves, then some of those answers will pop up as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that I skipped one very important. So now is really the last
Okay.
one.
Okay.
So how do you feel being the one chosen
Oh.
by Louise Hay to be in charge of this wonderful work in the whole world? And have you ever faced like someone being jealous about it because you were the chosen one?
I am so blessed, so grateful, and so humbled, really, to be able
Yes.
to lead this work worldwide and to represent Louise. There are days when I wake up, and my husband also works with me many times, and we just say, we're so blessed. How did this happen? And I'll tell you, it happened because we had an intention in our hearts, like Louise did as well, to share work that would transform people's lives. And what we found, what the most powerful, was Louise's work. I've not encountered people being jealous of me, as far as I know.
Yes.
I haven't had that kind of energy, and if there is someone, I haven't been aware of it. So, but Louise, I thank her all the time in the trainings for trusting myself to take her work forward, because there were a few other people that could have, and for some reason they just didn't move forward, and it ended up with me. So I'm very blessed, and I'm very blessed to talk to all of you.
Yeah, and I have to tell you that she's really a humble person. She's really like very, very available, and I wish you could have and I think you will. I am affirming for you to have the opportunity to meet her in person someday. Thank you very much, Patricia, for your availability and for being here and for being available for all of them.
I just want to say I love you so much, and I love all of you as well. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you very much.